Alright, so I got the gearbox over here on the bench, and I was looking at these seals, and it turns out the seal on the input shaft and the seal on the output shaft are identical, and they both have what look to be like pretty good part numbers on them. They both also are marked national, so they must be national seals. And it looks like it's 50219. That one's got a little bit of paint still on it. This is the one that's got the rust stain on it. 50219. So, write that down for later, because if it's a pretty common seal, it might not be very expensive. It might be just better to just change it out. In order for the thing to sit on the bench better, I took the handle off over here. And this handle on the front here is the one that, this is really wiggly. And it looked to me like maybe there was a leak behind here. So I wanted to take this assembly off. It's identical to this one. The handle just unscrews. That one's on tight. And then there's a grub screw and a grub screw, two grub screws. So I loosened both grub screws on this one, thinking that that would, allow me to pull this off, but it's not moving. So it seems like that's pretty darn tight. I got my little beveled blade here that I use for such an occasion. Just pop that in there, give it a tap. Yep, that's separating. Alright, that might be far enough now. I might be able to get wider. Now the seal. What if they made those shafts the same diameter? Because if they did, then that would make this another, well, 50219. The seal. Alright. So that's cool beans. So get 3 of those seals. And that's really all there is to it. Seals on this thing. There might be a seal. Well, what do you think, guys? In for a penny, in for a pound? As long as I'm changing those 3, might as well see if there's one underneath here. Well, no one's ever had this apart. I don't think, because these grub screws, that one was a little hard to take out. And I could see that the reason why is because it had the paint still in the grooves. So this was, looks like this may have been painted after this was installed. That doesn't really make sense, does it? Why would they paint it with the handle on? Then they wouldn't be able to get paint underneath if they did that. Well, there's my answer. There's no paint underneath here. So, yeah, this was painted at the factory after it was installed, or somebody else painted this. But I think this is the factory paint that's on here, because of the fact that the data plate on the front here doesn't have any paint, so the data plate was put on after it was painted, I believe. But the other thing about this one is there is no seal on top of here. And the reason why is because if this is filled at the proper level, they figure even with oil splashing around in there, there's really no reason why oil should be coming out way up on top here. I also wouldn't be surprised if this top cover doesn't have a gasket. Hey, I think I want to put this on exactly the way it came off, which is easy enough to do because there's an indentation here for one grub screw and there's a mark where the other grub screw landed. So, you know what, I'm going to keep this off for now because I'm probably going to end up taking that cover off. Yeah, I know. Maybe I shouldn't even be messing inside there. But next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drain whatever's in this thing out and see what it looks like. Alrighty, so I'm all set up here. Raise this up high enough so I can have a jar underneath here and let this drain. I'm going to use a nice glass jar because I like to be able to really clearly see if stuff settles out on the bottom. This is a jar that used to be for Teddy Bear brand natural peanut butter, which in my opinion is the best store-bought peanut butter I've ever had. This is a low sugar peanut butter. It's got plenty of sweetness for me from the natural sugars in the peanuts. They don't add any sugar. They also don't use emulsifiers or chemicals to keep the peanut butter creamy all the time. So the only bad thing about this peanut butter when you buy it is that it's got all the peanut oil settles to the top. So you have to mix it when you open it, and a lot of people don't like having to do that. But I love this peanut butter. But I digress. Anyways, the other thing that's nice about this peanut butter is that when our kids were young, we started them on this peanut butter. And as they grew up and got older, my wife and I made a conscious effort to try and keep high sugar out of our kids' lives. I mean, we don't, it's not like we don't let them have ice cream or cookies or anything like that, or cake or whatever. We let them have it, but it's the more day-to-day stuff. So like the breakfast, the high sugar breakfast cereals and sodas, stuff like that. And so the peanut butter, getting back to the peanut butter, if you take a kid who has been like on Jiffy or Skip or, you know, Skippy, Jif, Peter Pan, store peanut butter, it's a lot sweeter than this. Matter of fact, my wife does buy Peter Pan peanut butter, but she uses it for baking because I guess it's better for baking. I don't know. But anyways, if you take a kid who's been eating that all his life and then you give him a sandwich with this, he's definitely going to notice it. He's going to tell you, more than likely he's going to tell you he doesn't like this peanut butter because of the reduction in sugar, those added sugars they put in there. There's nothing wrong with the creaminess or anything like that. It's just the sugar. So the point I was trying to make is you start your kids young on this stuff, they're going to love it if they love peanut butter, and they'll be fine with it. Our kids certainly are. Alright, so let's drain this. Depending on how full this is, I'm either going to find a stream that shoots out and I've got this out of position, or I'm going to find hardly anything comes out and it dribbles and runs down on the back there, so hopefully. Well, that's disheartening. Not a drop of anything came out. And I had already planned on using the time as this drain to tell you a quick story. Oh, what a bummer. Maybe I'll tell you the story anyways. Hey, now that's clever. The old transmission drain plug trick. This lower drain plug is specially made so that there is a magnet in there, and so a lot of that stuff I just took off of there is actually a combination of dirt and filings. Looking at it under magnification, there's definitely tiny metal filings on that sucker. Hey, what do you expect for a gearbox that's been running empty for who knows how long? Yeah, I don't know if I don't have much time this morning, so I don't know if I'm going to bother breaking into this today. I was going to pop the lid off, seeing if the inside of this is coated with sludge, because if it is, then I'm going to just use the parts washer and completely clean the thing out bone dry, put the new seals in and put new oil in it. That's the game plan, but I think I've got a flea market find segment I want to do. I think I'll save my story for the flea market find segment because it kind of ties into that.